Hello, I'm Avery or Hazel or Kylie. You can just pick one, I don't care.
Hello, I am Lily.
And welcome to the From the Closet podcast. Today, for our free movie of the month for March 2022. No, not 2022. It's 2023. Um, we are
Yeah, get
covering.
with the times.
Shut up. We are covering the 1961 version of West Side Story. We'll cover the 2021 version eventually. Um, so currently, this movie is available for free on Tubi, Pluto TV, and if you have a Roku, it's free on that as well. You can join us tomorrow for Doctor Strange, and next week for the 1998 version of The Parent Trap and The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. So look forward to those. If you would like to avoid spoilers for this movie, there will be a link down below to Just Watch, which will have all the places you can rent, purchase, or stream this movie. Like I said, it's available on those three free platforms that I mentioned earlier. However, it is also available on Prime Video for us here in the U.S. So I should have mentioned those platforms. It's free in the U.S. for. And then paid on Prime Video. Our Just Watch link is to the US version of the site. However, if you use the app, it will automatically redirect you to your country's page. If you use the website, you can change the country from the website page. Also in the description is a link to our Patreon where you can vote on future episodes of this show, as well as get early access to episodes, as well as early access to episodes of our sister show, Off the Shelf, which is about books. That podcast is exclusive to YouTube and Patreon and really needs me to make more episodes. But
Yeah, I'm not involved in that, so.
yeah, no, you're not. In fact, there's another project I wanted to talk to you about, but after the podcast.
Of course.
Yeah, so also in the description below is a link to Anchor.fm, which itself has links to every platform that this podcast is on, as well as links to our Instagram and Twitter where you can be notified when we release a new episode. With all that being said, please get out of here if you would like to avoid spoilers, because we are going to talk about the movie now. Okay.
Honestly, if you care about spoilers, I'm just gonna say one thing. You've already seen this story before. You had to read it in high school.
Maybe, yeah. But the something to note here is that this is an adaptation of a stage
Of
play
what?
by
That
this
makes sense.
yeah, by the same name. I don't know how good of an adaptation it is. So,
Well, there wasn't, like, intermission midway through.
yeah, like 2 straight minutes of music on a black screen, which honestly really annoyed me. This is the only movie I've ever just used the fast forward feature on when watching it for this podcast.
Um, I believe, what was it? There was a play on Disney Plus and it had that.
Was it Hamilton?
I think it was Hamilton, yeah.
I haven't watched the Hamilton on Disney Plus. I haven't watched Hamilton at all, actually.
God, my parents are fucking addicted to it. Or at least they were at a time. I swear, every time I came out of my room, see what they're watching, in the living room. Oh, it's fucking Hamilton.
I mean, my favorite film adaptation of a stage play, granted, this is going to piss some people off, but I've never seen the original stage play, so I just fucking loved this movie, was Into the Woods. That's going to piss a lot of people off, but...
Well, everyone just disliked our podcast now. Way to go, Avory.
Yeah. And we're going to cover Into the Woods at some point. That's going to be fun.
Really?
Yeah, personally, I loved it. It's one of my favorite movies that I watched this year.
Let me guess, it was a terrible adaptation.
From what I understand, yeah, it was a terrible adaptation.
I guess it's like when people find enjoyment out of the Percy Jackson movies.
I don't think so, because I don't think those movies work as movies in their own right, whereas this movie does.
I mean, I feel like they can work if you just separate them, because they are not the same movie.
Well, first you have to separate the Percy Jackson movies from the Percy Jackson books, and then you have to separate them from Greek mythology, and then you have to be able to ignore a lot of plot holes, and you have to be able to ignore teen pandering, and it's
the teen pandering.
Yeah, it's just
Oh, the second movie.
I think the second movie brings a lot of plot holes on its own too.
Yeah, but that was a lot less teen pandering.
And then there was the whole situation of like, oh, they want to set up this other character as a big bad villain that the hero is supposed to fight again, but you've already shown us that he can defeat him, so why should we care?
But onto this movie, and the only thing I can say about this movie is just fucking Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, like, I pointed this out when we were watching it. This is just Romeo and Juliet, but instead of rival families in England, it is street gangs in New York.
Honestly, I was like, while I was watching it, I was thinking the exact same thing. And the more I watch it, like, I was assuming, like, oh, I'm, probably diverge at some point, right? It never did.
I mean, Juliet didn't die, so
that's about it.
Yeah, that's literally it. Romeo still dies, or in this case, what was his name? Tony?
Yeah, Tony still dies.
Yeah. Something awkward. Okay, I have to admit, watching this movie was awkward because the main love interest is named Maria. That's my sister's name.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So this whole movie was really awkward for me.
The younger one?
The younger one.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that whole thing, it made watching this movie really fucking awkward.
I could bet.
Yeah. I won't say it wasn't like enjoyable, because like I am able to like separate it a bit, but it's kind of hard to get invested in the romance just because of that.
I just never got into the romance. I got into a little bit, but I will be honest, a lot of me was just like, I've seen better.
I mean,
I've seen this exact plot done better.
I mean, like, of course, like, they fall in love and are literally kissing within, like, what, 30 seconds of knowing each other? So, like, this is just Romeo and Juliet again. I've said it before. I actually said this in my English literature class in high school. I said to my English teacher, Romeo and Juliet is not a love story for the ages. It is a story of two hormonal teenagers jumping into a 3-day relationship that gets 6 people killed, including themselves. And I stand by that.
Yeah. But hey, at least it stopped a war, I think.
And now I don't even remember who the other 3 people were. Like, I know that 3 of the people killed were Romeo, Juliet, and Juliet's cousin?
Yeah, his Romeo killed the cousin because just trying to defend himself. But that got the other family really mad.
Yeah, and like in this movie, I'm pretty sure it's Maria's brother that gets killed.
But for this movie, we just have fucking gang wars of these kids.
Yeah, and I got to talk about the beginning of this movie because it really just filmmaking. My filmmaker brain just kind of got mad about this. The first 5 minutes of this movie are just music on a colored background. You would think that during this time they would put in some opening credits, make it a little more forgivable. No, they don't do that. It's just 5 minutes of nothing. And then for the next 10 minutes, there's just a lot of running and characters snapping their fingers. And you think they're building up to an opening musical number. Nope, they don't do that. You can literally skip the first 15 minutes of this movie and lose nothing.
I mean, you can skip the entire movie, read Romeo and Juliet, and miss nothing. But hey, here we are.
No, I think there is some stuff here. The first couple of songs just kind of didn't do anything for me. The rest of them are kind of catchy. Nothing worthy of being put on my Spotify playlist, but they're fine. They serve the movie well.
I agree. Honestly, like all the songs were really just like, eh. I could enjoy in the moment, but I'm never just gonna be like looking them up after the movie.
Right? It's nothing like, say, the music from Tangled or The Lion King or Aladdin or Rio. I didn't want to just keep naming Disney movies.
I mean, you shut up because you just completely missed Princess and the Frog.
I don't think most of the songs in The Princess and the Frog weren't that special. Just a few of them.
Nah, Friends on the Other Side went in my playlist immediately. But damn, I need to add more Rio songs on my playlist.
I have the entire Rio soundtrack on my playlist.
I want to go that far. I've always been hesitant on adding, a lot of songs from one franchise, unless I guess you're Kingdom Hearts or Persona.
Yeah, when it comes to Persona, I literally think I only have Last Surprise.
No, I have a lot of songs. I swear, I think I have like two of the same songs on Kingdom Hearts. I think I got rid of one in the future, but like during that time, two of the same exact songs.
I kind of need.
That was a big.
I think I want to go
My
in
Kingdom Hearts.
and add "Wake Up, Get Up, Get Out There," because that's a good song too. I just haven't gone in and added it.
I forgot what the song was. I think it's like, no, I can't say the song name because it reminds me too much of another song in this game. That's literally the final boss music, so I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah, so this movie. Okay, this movie also serves as like a heavy inspiration for the Disney Channel original movie Teen Beach Movie. They take substantial creative liberties with that movie. It's wildly different.
Yeah, I can actually imagine why it would be.
But I do want to commend this movie for one thing, and I think it's actually a bold move. So this movie came out in 1961. The Civil Rights Act came out the Civil Rights Act was signed into law in 1964. And this movie kind of goes down a road of like talking about racism in 1960s America, coming out in 1960s America. Hey, sure, lots of movies nowadays talk about racism in the 60s, but you don't see very many movies from back then talking about it.
That is true, though. There's something that makes like a bit of a. I guess I couldn't even call it a logical point, but while they were doing a lot of the dances, as the back of my mind of what does this movie want to accomplish? Does it want to expose all of these, prejudice, or is it basically just saying, this is everything that's happening. Go back, go back home or whatever. I I guess it is Romeo and Juliet, so both the gangs supposed to make up, after the credits roll. So I think I'm just overthinking things.
Yeah, I think like also there's uh I guess staunch. I don't know how to phrase this, but like clearly the movie is like it's pro interracial marriage. I guess
Oh, that's true. I guess I think I was just looking too much in what could have been bad. I wasn't thinking about what was actually good.
yeah. Like for me, like I'll commend them for that. I think it's a bold move in 1961 when people who just weren't white didn't have a lot of rights. I think this movie took a bold statement. And I mean, respect for that, I guess.
Respect, however, I think we should, because you were talking about this movie and what you'd give it before, actually finishing. Did that change for you at all? Or is it still,
When I got through to
are you
the
still thinking
end,
of that?
when I got through to the end, it did change a bit.
Hmm.
I will say that.
Honestly, I'm actually thinking about even going a bit lower than what you were originally thinking. Because it can do a lot of stuff. And a big, bold move for what they added. Songs were okay, I guess. But when you chop down a lot of stuff, I just didn't really feel invested at all.
I didn't feel that much invested either. Like, I found myself getting bored watching this movie, but at the same time, I at least felt something. It, something
I
that
don't
wasn't
even
just
think I felt
confusion like what I felt with
anything.
The Last Unicorn, which is why I know I'm rating it higher than that.
Honestly, I just didn't feel anything. Plus, Unicorn at least made me feel something.
The Last Unicorn was
And
so weird.
especially because I bringing this back to The Last Unicorn, this movie, well, apart from it being, the basic plot structures being taught in every high school class in this day and age, was so predictable. Other than, the girl, Romeo, not, Juliet not dying.
Yeah, I mean,
Though then again, I didn't really feel like how they could get Juliet dying in the way that they were going. So I was like, I was a little bit curious on how they were going to wrap this up with the ending of Romeo and Juliet.
I mean, when
I
she
guess
picked
it
up that gun, I really thought that like we were going to see her shoot herself.
looks like they didn't get that far.
I'm
Oh well.
very, very curious about the 2021 remake. I'm wondering if it can be any good, if it's better than this movie or not. Um, I
Hmm.
wanted to see it back when it was being advertised and stuff, but it released so close to Spider-Man No Way Home that I didn't get the chance to go see it. And funny enough, I didn't get the chance to go see Spider-Man No Way Home in theaters either because they were sold out by the time we got there.
Huh.
And it
This is
was
why you got do online ticket buying.
the crazy thing is like this movie we went to go see it like 2 weeks after it had already premiered and it was still
Hmm.
sold out. at that time.
Crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, that's how it goes, I guess. That's literally the first time I've ever experienced trying to go see a movie and it being sold out.
Hmm.
I didn't even have that trouble with Avengers Endgame. And I actually saw Endgame twice in theaters.
Was it even better the second time?
No,
Oh,
it was basically the same.
damn.
But yeah, this movie it does what it sets out to do, and I think it does it well enough. Um, which like I do have to give it points for. Unlike so many movies that came out during this era, I don't really feel like it has anything major in it that makes it feel like it aged poorly. Like even Disney's hits from this era have aged really poorly, especially stuff like Peter Pan. Ugh.
Really?
Yeah, Peter Pan has aged awfully.
I always heard people praising movies like that. Hell, Peter Pan was in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing Disney's ever done. That would be Song of the South. And then,
Ugh.
but then also, I think one of Disney's worst movies uh, came out during the 2000s, I think. Pocahontas.
Hmm.
That might have been late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. I think it's one of their worst movies.
Interesting.
But yeah, like I think I think this movie deserves to at least be rated based on the fact that like it accomplished what it set out to do. And it doesn't feel like it aged anywhere near as poorly. Cause like you gotta think about it. We covered another movie from 1961 that also got a remake years later. That movie aged incredibly poorly. So poorly, it's the lowest movie, like, in terms of our ratings, it's the lowest rated movie we've
Huh,
ever
really?
covered. Yeah. The Parent Trap also came out in
Like, I knew
1961.
what you were referring to.
Yeah. But do the listeners? That's that. Yeah. So I think, this movie, it's definitely better than The Parent Trap. I don't know what other competition this movie had in 1961, but it apparently won 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Um,
Hmm.
so, like,
I
I,
don't think it deserves that much praise.
I mean, I can see if maybe they didn't have much competition. Um, I'm actually looking up uh, the 1961 Best Picture nominees. Um,
Hmm. And I guess if, all of the other nominees were trashed, it makes sense why you would be the winner.
yeah, and I'm just trying to find it. It might take me a minute.
Honestly, because you know how I feel about romance movies. There just wasn't anything. Yeah, I guess you have that suspense of, ooh, gang war, but
Yeah, I think the moment I realized this was going to be basically a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, I kind of stopped caring. Um,
mhm. E- especially like Scott Pilgrim, that had romance, but it also had an entertaining plot. This plot was not only meh, it's been done before, and that plot is probably the most famous love story plots out there.
Yeah. So the other nominees are just a bunch of movies that I have never heard of.
Hmm.
Uh, Fanny, The Guns of Navarone, The Hustler, and Judgment at Nuremberg. I have never heard of any of these movies.
No, but some of them title alone sounds like they'd be okay.
I mean, the bottom line is, like, I think this movie, it's at least somewhat stood the test of time, whereas, like, these other movies, I don't think they had that power, because, I mean, I've never heard of them. So, I mean,
Fair enough. I mean, I never heard of West Side Stories before you told me about it.
I mean, the thing is, I had at least heard of West Side Story a number of other times, like, even before Teen Beach Movie came out, which was sort of like I had heard some of my classmates in high school talking about West Side Story briefly. Like there was a short period of time where I heard them talking about it.
But
So, like, I
there's
was
something.
aware of West Side Story's existence.
Hmm. But this all brings me into something interesting. Why would they remake this movie?
Who knows?
It's just Romeo and Juliet. They made gnome versions of that, by the way.
Let's not.
Um,
You know, my high school actually put on a parody play of Romeo and Juliet called Romeo and Julie. Um,
huh.
it was something. It was. I actually wasn't in that one.
Aw.
I was in. Um, I was in something else. I
I
won
never took
best.
you to be in a high school play.
I was in like two. And I got best actor for one of them.
Damn, I cannot believe you got an Academy Award for a high school play.
Shut up. No, just fucking no. But yeah, I think this movie it was fine. It's gonna just go down in the list of movies that I've seen as fine. That movie was all right. But like, I think the thing that initially sparked my interest to see this movie was Teen Beach Movie, and it's very clear that Teen Beach Movie took a lot of creative liberties when it comes to how they worked West Side Story into their movie. Because it's not an
Was
adaptation; it's something else.
it was just they just it was just inspiring. It just got inspired by it, right?
No, it's more like there's an alternate version of this movie in that universe, and the characters from Teen Beach Movie get trapped inside that movie.
What?
Yeah.
Okay then. I'm more confused than ever.
Yeah, as you should be. But we'll get to
But
it
just be
eventually. Anyway, I don't really think I have much else to say, do you?
um I guess my rating will speak to how I really feel about this movie.
Okay, so IMDb gives this movie a 7.6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 92%. Metacritic has it at 86%. 82% of Google users like this movie. I'll
Hmm.
start for this one. Um,
Okay.
So throughout this whole movie, I was considering low fives and then middle fives and then high fives, and I'm finally settling down on 6.0, just flat 6.0.
Interesting. Um, yeah, there's no way to cut it. Um, this movie, I don't know how to even introduce this rating because it is just so weird. Because I'm giving it a 4.9. You don't know what that symbolizes.
I'm sorry, you're giving it a what? You
A
kind of
4.9.
so just slightly worse than The Last Unicorn?
Yes.
I don't agree, but whatever. I felt like The Last Unicorn had a nonsensical plot.
I
Whereas this
prefer nonsensical than predictable. I prefer the chaos to boring.
I would fundamentally disagree. Predictable doesn't always mean boring, but I think in
I mean, I
this
was
movie,
bored also.
yeah, like sometimes a movie can be extremely predictable, but also extremely fun to watch. But, I mean, that's a topic for another day. We'll probably come across another movie that is fun, just as fun to watch, but also pretty predictable. I mean, hell, most Marvel movies fit that description, actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can join us tomorrow for Doctor Strange, and next week for the 1998 version of The Parent Trap and The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1.
We
But
haven't
until
released a
next,
Parent Trap yet?
no, we haven't.
Huh.
But
Huh.
until next time, I've been Avery, that's been Lily, and we will be seeing you